Hello friends, Mali Ponfidith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal is to bring to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders from all over the world who are creating positive social impact for their community and for society as a whole. And today I'm delighted to bring my friend to you, Miria Varghese. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, Mali. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, so can you please reintroduce yourself to our audience and let them know a little bit about your work and what you're currently working on in the world in the context of how you're advancing causes around arts?
So I am the founder of ArtPropel. ArtPropel is an arts-based creativity, wellness, and team building program that we bring to the workplace. We help teams communicate, create, and bond through the arts. We think of it as a way for them to connect outside of their work in a way that is fun and hands-on, and in some cases, gets people out of their comfort zone and helps them, show sides that they don't get to share when they're at work. So that is what ArtPropel is. And we are really trying to help people realize, and this is something that was shared by Amy Whitaker from her book, Art Thinking, where she talks about how the work and the break are not morally separate. They are parts of a whole. And so we are trying to help companies make it easier to take that break in a way that helps them be more productive when they get back to work.
Well, it's so fitting. And the reason why we wanted you to be a part of this interview series is because the whole idea of mindful, conscious leaders is really about looking and supporting and gifting the employee with the opportunity to be a whole human. And that whole human means the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. It means the heart-centered things that matter to them, the community things that they care about, as well as all the professional skills, technical training that they bring forth to the workspace. So I love that art is becoming so much more accepted as a part of innovation and ideation and creative thinking, so that it's not something that you just have to go do as a hobby outside of work. So thank you for your work. Now, as I explore who you have become and why arts and why leading this initiative, right? Who in your life has supported you, has inspired you, has helped you? What conscious, mindful leader or mentor has elevated your way of thinking and being in the world?
I would say, I think there are many people who've influenced me in that journey, but one person in particular that I can think of would be my grandmother. She, maybe about 20 years ago or so, joined with friends to start this Cancer and AIDS Society. It's a shelter that helps people with low income, but who are suffering from cancer or AIDS. They visit their homes and they provide medical care. In some cases, they provide them with food supplies and things like that. But she does that, and one of the ways she provides funds for that is through screen printing. So this was a craft that she picked up, many years before she started. She was a part of the Cancer and AIDS Shelter Society, but she found that was a way that she enjoyed. She enjoyed print, and sari is what we wear in India. So she uses a screen to print on saris that, for example, people have worn over a long period of time and they want to revive it. So they bring it to her and she kind of prints on that and gives it a new look. And so some of the money she puts aside to for the Cancer and AIDS Society. And I find that to be a profound impact that she is making in this world, because she's not a person who has who went out of the house to work throughout her life. But when the opportunity came for her to put something that she was passionate about and then finding the resources to make it happen, for me is a good example. And I'm so happy to have had that example in my life.
That's fantastic. Grandmothers are amazing.
I agree.
Yes.
And I'm blessed with two of them.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Beautiful story and beautiful sharing. Thank you. And thanks, Grandma, for doing all that you're doing. When you think of community builders and champions of change, the folks in your life that you really have just admired or seen them do over and over again, this giving, this caring, what are some of the characteristics that come to mind that are consistent when you think of these people?
I would say the way they treat people. For me, and that itself, I think, comes from a sermon that I heard many years ago, which talked about how when you look at your purpose in this world, what matters and what is your purpose, finding your purpose. And the thing that came out of that is about how, 100 years after you're gone, it's not really going to matter who you are, because maybe your name is on some building, or you've written a book, or you've started a company. But for the people of that time, that is not going to be, they're not going to be able to relate to it. So what matters really is how you treat people. So for me, that is a very important aspect of a change agent, because we are in this world where we are going to be in contact with many people, not just the ones who can make a difference in our life, but just people who are getting by. And I think the way we treat people is, for me, the most important criteria in that's what I see for a change agent.
Beautiful. When you think about advancing missions and beyond your role, beyond your organization, what are movements or causes, and maybe even specific organizations that you are helping to advance, that you are being a change agent or champion for?
Well, I would say I'm still associated with many arts organizations. And I think my passion lies there in helping take the arts, not just in the workplace, which is a new concept, of course, but just making the arts more accessible. And whether that's through children's theater or reaching people in prisons. I want to make the arts more accessible, and I want people to get the benefit of the arts through these exercises. So I think we've already created so many organizations that's doing that, but I think there is potential to do much more. So yes, that's...
When life has been challenging for you and you've had ups and downs, is there a motto, a philosophy, a quote, or perhaps even scripture that you lean on, go to, that helps to ground you and bring you back to center?
Well, I would say scripture, definitely, and that's something that I have to use on a daily basis, because there's challenges and there's trials and triumphs that I think everyone experiences on a daily basis. So I can't think of one particular thing that from scripture that helps me. It's so many different things. But if I were to refer back to a quote, and this is something that I came across recently, which I thought was very meaningful. It's by Helen Keller, and she said, "The world is moved along not only by the mighty shoves of its heroes, but also by the aggregate of the tiny pushes of each honest worker. I find that to be very powerful in this in this whole idea of being a change agent and trying to make a difference in this world. I think it takes all of us. We've all been given the skills, but some people play the leader and the others play a part in it too, in bringing about the change.
Miria, I love so much that quote. And because there have been times, even on this journey of this interview series, when I've reached out to folks that in my mind are incredible champions of change and community builders and change agents, but they will humbly say, I don't think I can be interviewed because I don't believe that I've done enough. I don't believe that I am an influencer. I'm just me, little old me. And I often challenge them and I said, look, I'm never going to force anyone to do this interview if they don't wish to. But the goal is to highlight everyday people who don't even realize their own power with the decisions they make, with how they show up in the world, with the smile that they intentionally put out, what that could mean to someone, right? So your quote is so compelling to me because we are all leaders and we are all heroes, and we don't have to have what people use now as a measure for success, which is millions of followers or, you know, in social media, I don't know, thousands of likes. It doesn't matter. What matters is the community that you serve. How have you made them feel? How have you given them the right resources or tools or pointed them or guided them? So absolutely love that quote so much.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. If you could imagine being the creative that you are, if you could imagine or reimagine a better world, what would it look like? What needs to happen?
I think I have to go back to what I said earlier about being kind. I think a better world would be one where we are kind to each other, because I think there's definitely, I think we are all react based on fear, and all of us are here with those same feelings. And we act out of fear when we are mean and angry. But I think if we were to change that perspective on thinking about the fact that if we could just be a little kind to each other, I think the world would be a better place.
Beautiful. All right. What can our community do to support you right now? What are one or two things that we can do? And what is the best way for us to reach you and find out more about your work?
Well, my website is artpropel.com. And I am always looking, to have conversations about how we can make a change in this world, whether it's through the arts or other mediums. And so I'm open to having those conversations, and I love to do it one-on-one. I prefer not to do it via social media. So anytime I think anyone is in that, has that mode of thinking and wants to, just share ideas, I'm open to that. And so that's my website, and that's a good way to reach me.
That's great. Thank you again so much for your time today and for the work that you're doing and taking the lead in bringing arts into the workplace, but also providing opportunities and access to the power of artistry, creation, innovation, etc. Thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you, Mali. I enjoyed it very much.
You're welcome. For those that are watching, thank you so much for following us through this Nebula Change Agent interview series. Please remember to nominate yourself and someone in your community who's making a huge difference. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone.